As I tell people who are doing a lot of data gathering in our industry, like in the performance world or fitness, I'm like, that's great. You guys have this piece, and heart math's a little different because there's a practical piece to it as well. But a lot
Right.
of metrics are out there. It's like great, you got the needle, but we have something that moves the needle like really quickly, so
Right.
it meshes really well with
Right.
everything we've run across so far because it's just complementary to mind body connection type stuff.
On today's episode, we talked to Shawn and Ryan with the Square One system about physiological movement or physical movement and physiological benefits of the nervous system by getting the body to move in certain ways, opening up flexion, opening up mobility. Great gentlemen. We hope you enjoy. Ryan, great to meet you. I've heard a lot about you. Love your mom.
Yeah.
Your mom's a great lady. We know his mom very well. She's
That's
been
cool.
through a couple of
I've not
our.
met her yet, actually.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I did click to me.
I'm sure she's good. He's a good guy right here. So it turned out a good product.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, she's been in our emotional mental well-being resilience program, and then in our current group work at work. Yeah. So she is an incredible lady. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Ryan. And then go
On the
ahead.
drive, we're in New York right now. And
Okay.
On the drive over here, I said to Ryan, like the word that we need to be focused on is not just with you guys, but generally for Square One is resilience.
Yep.
Because that's what we're actually doing is producing and promoting neurological resilience.
Cool. And you guys attack that a lot through physical stretching, and like we'll get into that, right? So
awesome.
I'm excited to hear. Altee's told me a little bit about it. So yeah, we focus on building resilience through elevated emotion. So I'm certified with the Heart Math Institute. They're really the pioneers of a lot of neurophysiology, a lot of psychophysiology, a lot of psychophysiological coherence, which is the alignment between the heart, nervous system, and mind, balancing autonomic nervous system, parasympathetic, sympathetic, to get huge amounts of energy sent up from the heart as the amplifier to the brain to create new neural pathways to heal the body. So the combination is like, as soon as she told me, I was like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. So
are we rolling already? Or
Yeah.
We'll let's jump in. I just wanted to see real quick, and I'll save that, and then we can, like, the raw information is the best information.
Sometimes
so
it's
we'll
right.
just jump in, and I'll just ask you all a bunch of questions. How much time do you both have? I want to be respectful of your time. So we got 3:32 here. You're 5:32 there.
So we're at 5:33. I got to pick up a buddy at the train station. So maybe about 6:10 we got to wrap up. So we only have about 35, 40 minutes.
Okay. Perfect. Then we'll jump into it. So I'll just welcome us real quick. Is that cool?
Yeah. Do your thing, man.
Okay.
Appreciate being on this.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Welcome back to the Healing Works podcast. We're excited to be here today with Ryan and Shawn with Square One. We're really pumped for this one and I'll let them explain what they do. But yeah, if you don't mind introducing yourselves, introducing your business and what you all specify in and what you all do, because it's very, very well related to emotional mental resilience. They work on obviously the physiological and physical end. So take it away, gentlemen.
Yep. Okay. So I'm Shawn Sherman. I'm the developer of the Square One system. And as concisely as possible, we're increasing and improving resilience of the nervous system to anything you want to throw at it. And we're doing it through posture and human movement at a very basic level. And Ryan Thompson is he's who connected us all here today. And Ryan's one of, I'd say you call it our star pupil. So we've had maybe 500 students, and Ryan's absolutely one of the best. Our little tribe of people, they call him the baby goat, as greatest of all time. And I guess I'm the goat, but
nice.
So Ryan's very well known in the Square One circles. And if you want to say more about yourself, Ryan, I don't want to take away your thunder, but
no, it's great. We got together over about 5 years ago, and through what you've been able to teach me and mentor me through Square One system, it has enabled me to created my own business called Last Resort Restoration, where I pretty much keep square one as my foundation and build off of that and help clients and athletes get better through strength training.
That's it. That's incredible. I love every piece of that because I am a big proponent of physical movement and physical training, weight training. I'm in the gym quite often, and that's my place of zen. So, but the combination of, being so balanced is the missing piece, I think, for most people, right? Wouldn't you say, Shawn?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's well said. I think what we're really looking at, just talking offline with you, you're talking about the heart math and HRV and that connection from the heart and the brain.
Right.
Massively cool stuff. And we're looking into heart math. So that's why it's really fun to be with you guys. But I would say what we're looking at is almost like rebalancing or really resyncing up the three senses that relate to posture and movement. So like back when we were all in school, they told us there was 5 senses, but that's not totally true because part of those 5, I mean, it's like we got vision, we got smell, we got touch, what am I going to taste, and what am I going to hearing.
Oh, hearing.
Yeah,
oh, you did say
right?
touch, hearing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but what about like a sense of balance? That's definitely a sense. And then what they call the 6th sense is proprioception, that awareness of position and space. So if you're talking about posture and human movement, we're looking at 3 senses: vision, proprioception, and balance. And throughout our lives, we were all encounter different stresses, different events, different thoughts, different emotions, different mechanical stress, thermal stress, chemical stress, and that throws things off throughout the whole body, pervasively throughout every tissue in the body. And what we're looking to do is kind of get those 3 senses synced back up to immediately improve posture and movement outcomes. So it's such an awesome compliment to, without even knowing everything you guys are doing. But because you're doing stuff with heart math and you're kind of getting emotion and the physicality connected, there's a connection here with what we're doing. I think there's a nice compliment to what we're doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll be talking off, past this podcast on collaborating because they definitely complement each other.
Yeah, because one of the major things we do, the component of heart math and heart focused breathing, and getting that. Getting the heart nervous system and mind into that coherent balance, meaning that the heart rate variability is very, very large, right? We know under stress, the heart produces a very erratic heart rate variability pattern. That's going to lead to sickness, illness, and disease. And so what we want to do is train the heart into high heart rate variability, and that comes through love and gratitude and appreciation, compassion. And then that allows the higher cognitive functions of the neurophysiology of the brain to open up. Start expansion into new possibilities, new potentials that really people are just blocked and really self-sabotage most of us, right? Most of our lives, we don't understand what's possible for us because of the limiting blocks. So the subconscious, we work a lot with. You all do a lot of kinesiology, right? A lot of muscle testing to find nervous system imbalances.
Testing we do is definitely borrowed directly from applied in clinical kinesiology.
Okay.
Everything else is original work. I always say if someone's familiar with AK or CK, I think what I've come up with is kind of the missing neuromechanical piece.
Ooh.
So it fits really well in with a lot of the AK, CK stuff for sure.
So a lot of good biophysics, biophysical, neurophysical stuff you guys really...
Yeah, so like you're saying about the high heart rate variability,
right?
And that's what's gotten me looking at this because I'm looking for like some kind of objective data recording or a measurement device that can actually pick up what we're seeing conceptually during sessions, where it's basically we challenge the nervous system, soft break, build it back up, challenge, little break, little build it back up. So there's a lot of things that are occurring, and if we could actually detect and document these changes that we are seeing broadly, where people come in and see us and we're, getting them out of pain in 1 session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions, helping pro athletes run faster, jump 3-4 inches higher in a session without doing actual physical training, but just by kind of clearing out the debris, I guess you could say, between these 3 senses that create posture and movement. So like hearing you talk, man, it's like Yeah, it sounds like myself a little bit. So we're talking some of the same language.
Yeah, we'll have to jump on a phone
Glad
call.
to
I
be
actually
excited.
wanted to jump on a phone call. Sorry, I just cut you off a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Oh, sorry. But I wanted to jump on a phone call with you before when Altee was talking to me about this the other day. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to talk to him before, but this will be great because raw material on podcasts is fantastic. So hopefully y'all enjoy this.
Well, and it just kind of came together because I was talking to Ryan yesterday and I was like, well, we don't have a guest scheduled. And sometimes it's like, wait for it. And then it shows up and here you guys are. And we were able to throw it together quick. We don't have a lot of time, but that's
no,
okay.
the perfect. Yeah. And we thank you for your time again. And a lot of the other component of what we do is on Altee's gift is she certified with the emotion code. I should just let you talk. Emotion code, body code. And she identifies through subconscious kinesiology, muscle testing, the emotional imbalances, because when we analyze the physiological systems and the nervous system of the body, these emotions are so powerful that what happens when we don't. Do you want to explain this? I should just go ahead.
Well, sometimes like the blocks that you guys are working through, it's the energy of an emotion, and maybe it's landed in a certain part of the body that's preventing movement or whatever. It could be a belief, it could be an emotion. So that's what I'm finding is identifying the actual maybe statement or emotion and clearing it with intention and magnetics. And so working together and then moving the body physically, it's like, that's what we're, really want to do is increase performance, whether it's just to show up better in your life and to feel great, or if you're really, performing in a sport or something of that nature,
Right. It's like low back pain. And I'll let you comment on this. Like, I'm sure do you see quite a bit of people with low back pain?
Yeah. That's probably the most common thing. I always joke. Everybody comes in, it's like back pain and shoulder pain, back pain and hip pain, back pain and ankle. It's like back plus whatever the other thing is.
So I'll let her explain. But what happens is, back pain's a lot of emotion of unsupported through life or financial strain, which look at inflation, look at the economy, everything that goes on. Most people, I think, worry, over concern about finances, how we're going to pay for stuff, how we're going to make, take care of the kids and, everything that goes into the house and the business and what have you. But that emotion a lot of the time stores in the low muscles of the back. And we know from a biophysiology, when you look at the physiology of the body and the muscular structure, the muscles in the back are strong enough to support a back. Like, people shouldn't have back pain by bending over and picking up a yard tool. But most people that come to us are like, oh my gosh, I was just fine, and I bent over. I picked up a rake in my front yard after I was raking the the
I
glass or the leaves.
Stand up out of the booth I was sitting in, and my
just
back
boom,
my
and
knee
it just you get an L4, L5 spasm, and you get herniated discs, and you get. I actually used to own a clinic that's what we did is restore discs through decompression and things like that too. So love the physical part of it, but it just is. But those emotions store in the back, and the two main areas, low back and the shoulder, because people are either trying to support themselves and they don't feel supported, or they're trying to shoulder the load, right? These phrases that we've heard most of our life start to make a lot of sense, right? We're shouldering the load, and then people have issues getting their shoulders above, 90 degrees, and above their heads. So yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Do you guys work with people just in person? Do you do clinics? Do you do Zoom?
Like Zooms?
We have the ability to pretty much on any platform kind of intervene. Okay. So we can do it in person. We have done online sessions. As long as, we understand what we're doing through Square One with a really good concept, we can pretty much mix anything up for you.
Yeah. Okay. And then right now we're in New York in the suburbs. We're here to teach a workshop. So we actually teach practitioners, my system. We get a lot of strength coaches, personal trainers is primarily who we're getting. But this weekend, we're going to see a lot of Pilates instructors.
Oh, great.
I think there's at least one or two PTs, but there's a group of about 15 to 17. I think most of them are Pilates and yoga people. So this will be a slightly different group, but to us, movement's movement. And
right.
We're going to just teach them how to restore the basic pieces of human movement and get those senses corrected and sync back up, and good things usually happen.
Yeah, when I was talking to Ryan yesterday, he was kind of explaining this. Ryan, maybe you want to tell the audience like what
You
you were
refer to
telling me.
Ryan as baby goat.
Oh yeah, baby goat.
Okay.
Will you goat and baby goat? Maybe kind of go over what you were telling me about the alphabet, and movement and how to create from there. That analogy.
So what we're looking at is, so what Shawn has created is this way of looking at movement. So when we're able to intervene and interview the nervous system to see how it responds, we look at the alphabet, right? Once you learn these basics, now you have the ability to grow and branch off. So we learn A through Z, and now we have the ability to write paragraphs or essays or anything. So when people come to us with some type of issue, we keep that same framework and are able to intervene in a way that is appropriate for everyone. Makes sense to you?
Yeah, and I would add to it, like when we look at this alphabet that we talk about, I look at every single joint action in the body, and it can be as simple as just the tip of your finger flexing or extending. We have hundreds of joint actions, and a pattern is anytime two or more actions work together to accomplish a physical task. So what we're teaching people in Square One is all these joint actions and how they actually work together to create upright posture and then locomotion. And we believe that every athletic pattern stems from those two patterns of getting up and go, or getting upright and locomotion. So we're able to like kind of interview and edit the nervous system, find out where are you missing a Q, a P, and that might be knee flexion, it might be cervical rotation. So we're literally finding where their brain is having the perception of threat when you put load on a very specific joint action. So we can get to a very specific level, find out where the brain has a problem, restore it, and we see outcomes change fairly immediately on most people.
Yep. That's awesome. I mean, I watched that video clip that Ryan sent me, and the immediate results are awesome. And then also, helping people like work through the emotions that maybe were there that are creating that emotional baggage or that heaviness there, and then learning how to move and connect. I mean, it just works together so nicely.
It works so well. As you were talking earlier about the emotional piece, absolutely. So I always tell people, we're very specific with like the neuromechanical piece, but as far as the inputs to the system, these different types of stress,
right,
we're not discerning between emotional, thermal, chemical, mechanical,
right.
But because we're mostly working with like personal trainers, golf pros, like movement people, we try to really kind of challenge the mechanical piece. But we've messed with, say hate versus love. Think about despair versus, gratitude, or, like kind of these positive versus more negative pieces. And we're literally picking up these changes in the nervous system. So to us, we can filter through emotions or swinging a golf club, or, put them in a cold water tank. Everybody's doing the cold water stuff. We can look at football. We kind of don't care. We're just trying to prepare people for whatever they're trying to get out of life. So if their job requires them to go up and down steps, like that's something we're going to check. If they're a professional basketball player, I'm going to have them put the ball on the deck and go for a rebound. We're going to do the stuff that they're going to need to do for their jobs. So we can kind of customize this mental, emotional, physical, however you want to run it. We can kind of take it to wherever that person, what they needed to accomplish and what they want to accomplish.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll have to obviously talk more offline, but I would love to see getting someone in a coherent state and then have you apply your physical method, or especially remove the emotion that associated with the knee pain, the nervous system block, that emotional energy that's preventing the balance, and then from external in, go from internal to external and then external to internal.
Right, vice versa.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
this is what got me on heart math, is like, all right, and the HRV stuff, and I don't know if it's the right tool. It'll be the right tool from a session basis.
Right.
I'm really trying to find something that picks up these changes, almost like a lie detector test. It's like, if we can pick up these data points 2, 3, 4 times per second, because we're moving very quickly through Square One.
Right.
I would love to have something like heart math that shows these changes, good and bad changes that are occurring. And I don't know if it's going to be granular or enough in a by moment standpoint, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be really cool validation, every 20 minutes, every half hour. I kind of think we're going to see those changes. I just don't know how granular heart meth's HRV stuff is, and that's not even a cut or a criticism.
Right.
It's going to fit well with what we're trying to capture.
Yeah.
But it'd be fun. Are you guys in Utah? Where are you guys at?
We're in Utah. So our HRV monitors go they rebalance or they redetect every 5 seconds based on
that's
heart
pretty cool.
rate to
That's
get
cool.
the heart rate pattern, right? We
Great.
got to give enough. But when you're applying physical nature,
Yeah.
I'll talk to Roland McCready. He's the lead psychophysiologist.
We could, man.
Hey,
I mean, if you guys
maybe
are
you need
going over
to
there,
come and make a trip out to Utah, huh?
that's what I was about ready to suggest. Like, we got to come out to Utah. It's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear you have great fly fishing, so that excites me. Seriously,
We
I really want to
do.
get into this heart meth stuff, and because I'm really confident we're going to be able to use it. Maybe not in the exact way that I think, but I think it would be a great way to validate what we're doing. And even if that tick is every, that data pickup is every 5 seconds, it's still going to give us a pretty interesting picture of what happens during a session, I would imagine.
Right.
So
Right.
I think so. I'm confident. As I'm reading the literature and watching some videos online, it really gets me excited, the HRV stuff. So it's the timeliness of this is hilarious to me because I started looking into this stuff like 10 days ago.
Really? Okay. Yeah. There's no.
I mean, I've heard about it, but I really started taking a deeper dive, like literally like last Monday.
Okay. Yeah, because I was
Well,
telling Altee when she told me what Ryan was doing, I was like, why don't you have me on the calls with him too? Because I'd like to pick his brain and get his knowledge and convey a lot of my knowledge. Because anatomy, physiology has always been, where my brain's been at. I almost went to chiropractic school and then was
I did too. That's what I was thinking about.
Maybe I'll go med because I was like, I wanted to combine the movement with more physiological aspects.
You're gonna love this, dude. You're
and
gonna
so
valley, dude.
And so I'm like, so then fast forward and I stumbled upon heart math because of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you've heard of Joe Dispenza, but in his meditations, and I was like, oh, if we combine that with what we do, and then started, very great relationship with heart math, talk to them all the time, but just the and when you were explaining about just the different muscular points and just the different pinpoints of simple flexion, it's such the base, it's the root, right? And that's where heart rate variability drives everything in your body, drives nervous system activity, drives brain function, drives hormonal outputs, drives the two main system, the couple main systems that come into alignment, autonomic nervous system both halves, and then you got your endocrine system, the correct hormones, and then you got your digestive system, and you especially the immune system function. You got you can really create such peaceful balance in life.
And when those things are in order, then you add the movement on top of it and enhance performance.
Well, because people either do one or the other, and I think that's the really cool combination that is going on is people either, go and train at the gym, or they really spend a lot of time on meditation. You don't find people that do a lot of both. Right. And so when people come to me and they're like, dude, how do you look so good? And I'm like, it's like, hey, it's because I'm in such a balanced physiological state. Like I'm very emotionally resilient. I'm very mentally resilient. Not a lot of things, really anger me. And so when you can keep that DHEA, that main regenerative hormone, and that, subsidiary human growth hormone, IGF-1 levels, when you can keep those flowing and you're repairing at a rapid rate, there's not going to be much pain.
Training correctly, the correct movements. And,
plus using correct form, and then understanding how the physiology of the body works and the biomechanics and form and all that's, flexion and all that comes into it. Yeah, we need to talk for like 10 hours, Shawn.
Like I said, we'll come out and just unload on you guys and just play. I just like playing with the stuff. So it's all fascinating to me. And like you guys are, with the heart math stuff, you're picking up those quick changes. And that's I tell people who are doing a lot of data gathering in our industry, like in the performance world or, fitness. I'm like, that's great. You guys have this piece, and heart math's a little different because there's a practical piece to it as well. But a lot of metrics are out there. It's like, great, you got the needle, but we have something that moves the needle like really quickly. So it meshes really well with everything we've run across so far because it's just complementary to mind body connection type stuff.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, mind, body, spirit, and people do a lot of mind and a lot of spirit, but the body is something obviously.
Yep. Or they think that just generic exercise fixes everything. And yes, moving versus not moving is good. But what I was talking about too is the problem with just going to the gym for most of us is we have some baggage in there, like some old perceptions of threats because of the girlfriend who broke up with you, to the stub toe to whatever, athletic injuries, and that goes with you the rest of your life. So when we add exercise, all we're doing is we're building upon a shoddy neurological perception base.
Right.
So all we're trying to do is just kind of clean up some of those perceptions, so you just get more goodies out of your your exercise modalities. So we're fans of exercise, but we don't think exercise fixes. We think exercise reinforces. So we're saying, like, why don't we just clean up that mind body connection, and then you do your exercise? So it's a perfect precursor to movement.
Yeah, physical movements to enhance, right?
Right, and with that, it carries you throughout your whole life. So you're not just like in your prime and you're really strong in your 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, and then you start to break down after that because your joints and your everything is you've kind of just powered through. It is just this, you're in this flow, and it carries you throughout your whole life.
Like,
really.
So like exercise is good, and then you're 50, then it's like be afraid of it, it's going to kill you. Like it doesn't even make sense. Like that's like the mainstream story, it seems like, and like it's just not accurate, I don't think.
Well, and that's because of with heart math, we study on average people produce cortisol at 12 hours on average a day. Like,
what would be ideal? Like 4 hours and the other 20 or more.
Really, when you look at the emotional resilience piece and look at balance, is right now, most people, 83% of Americans claim overwhelm due to stress.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's insane, right? And so what happens is, under that stress, which is any perceived negative emotion, right? Because perception's driven by heart rate variability, which most people don't understand. So if your heart rate variability is producing a frequency of frustration, the brain doesn't know the difference between being chased by a bear or being frustrated at a lift, or frustrated at your ex, or frustrated at your current relationship. It does not know the difference, because the brain and the neurophysiology is just objective. That's it.
Threat's a threat. It's either safe or threat. And binary.
Exactly.
And so that heart rate variability pattern goes up the neural pathways to the amygdalas. The amygdalas send it to the thalamus in the center of the brain, and that determines, or the amygdalas determine, chaos or harmonious. And if it's chaos, fight or flight, the frontal cortex is turned off. You can't think clearly. Nothing processes. You don't create. You stay stuck in life. When you get that heart rate variability enlarged and enhanced, very, very harmonious sine wave patterns, then that opens up your higher cognitive functions, perception, that balances the body, extreme coordination. So obviously 100% balances everything. And that's, you all come into the picture. And so it's like, we got to get those perceptions open so people can say, oh, let's be objective from this standpoint, and can I look at this from a different angle? Same thing with a lift, same thing with flexion. Can I do this differently that's going to be more in alignment neurophysiologically, so it doesn't cause pain, right? And so we're definitely on the same page.
Oh, you did perception. I talk about perception all the time. I'm like, I don't think anybody knows what I'm even talking about. Like, it's like, wait, so you're tricking me? I'm like, no. Like, you take it for granted because you didn't have a stroke. So if you're not walking around with a limp or some kind of massive neurological deficit that actually has like a clinical name to it, we tend to take things for granted, right?
Right.
But it's like when we stand up, right, that's like miraculous, and there's like millions of things going on. But it's like, if you think about it, it really is all generated by your brain's perception of where's the ground and where's gravity. And if it can get a pretty accurate sense of that, well, guess what? You're going to stand up very efficiently. It's not expending a lot of energy. It's a lot of efficiency, but that's not most people.
Right.
And then that funky working extra hard, they're why am I getting tired? I'm getting older. Or is it that you are literally zigging and zagging and compensating neurologically? And then it's when the heart math comes in too, and the HRV stuff, where it's like, you should be able to respond to the bear chasing you at an appropriate level. And you should also be able to respond to, my phone just rang and startled me. Like, it's not about that appropriate response of the nervous system. And
yes,
I'm guessing, just from reading and listening to you guys, heart math helps you get more in harmonious status. And I think we are too, but we're attacking it from more of a just neuromechanical
external. Absolutely. And the subconscious is what will govern that perception overall.
100%.
And that's where Altee comes in. Cause like Ryan's done some sessions, right? You can tell a difference now, the difference in lightness. And now you're like, oh, okay, now I can view this circumstance from a completely different level, literally like a different plane, right? And that's what we want is a different plane, a different path of viewing, really not a different path, but a different visual aspect of, hey, okay, if we can get the body to move, because everything is governed by perception, like you just said, Shawn, like everything in life will be governed. If you think the sky is black, there's nothing I'm going to do to tell you.
Right?
Yep. And that's why perception's the eye of the beholder, right? 100%. Yeah.
And that's what I talk about sometimes with people like, all I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to change reality. I'm trying to get your perception more in line with actual reality of gravity's pulling you straight down, because subconsciously you're perceiving the 47 different ankle injuries you've had over your football and basketball career or whatever that person's dealing with. Love it.
Yeah, and open them up to possibility, because they don't think it's possible until you show them, because it's most people don't rely on faith, they rely on seeing it, and then it makes sense, right? Data. And data's great. Data reinforces everything that we know in life, right? However, it's being open to the possibility that things can change in an instant, right? That's what they say, things can change in a heartbeat, because we're talking about heart rate variability. You change your heartbeat.
You change perception so quick.
Yep.
Tissue takes weeks. Like, okay, to add that muscle and the thickness of the tendon, that doesn't happen overnight, but perception is in the moment right now.
Right.
Yeah, you just said your 47 ankle injuries, and the first thing that came to my mind was, where do you feel stuck in your life? Because that's what ankles are. And if someone is continually injuring their ankle, it's like you feel stuck somewhere and your body is screaming at you to get that attention. So then I would go in and find, like, what's the belief? What's the emotion? Where do you feel stuck? Clear that. You help them, align and fire and wire those, muscles and tendons correctly. We help them with their perception. Boom, they're back in the game. And and it can happen very quickly.
Super fast, right?
Yeah.
I mean, again, tissue change is slow, but thoughts and emotions and perceptions of gravity, that stuff is pretty quick right away.
Very quick. So even going off Altee, the sessions that like we've been doing just from personal experience, like when you help me with that emotional end, on my end too, I'm doing resets through square one as well. So this combination on both sides. It's been a day and night difference for me since we've started that.
Well, and from a client standpoint, I can see that too, that the progress that you're making and how quickly you are taking to it, and the things are shifting because of the work you're doing on the other end yourself, implementing it. It is a massive difference. It doesn't have to take a long time.
Well, it's expansive adaptation. I think I'll coin that phrase. I just came up with
I like that.
expansive adaptation, because that's what it is. It's expanding past what your limited possibility of what you thought was possible and expanding into new reality. And like you said, you use gravity, and it's like, that's what we've been working on this year. So we have a group call on Wednesdays, and we've been going through the laws of the universe. And when you're aligned with gravity, like you can break yourself off gravity and fall off a 10-foot thing, and you're going to hurt yourself. Right. But you're not going to be able to break the law of gravity. Like, it's not possible. You can't just, until you
break yourself against
it. And so that's the same thing with law of attraction, which is preceded by law of vibration and the law of polarity, everything all the laws that govern the universe is, when we start talking to people, it's like, oh, that makes sense. And so once you start adapting yourself to these laws and start getting your energy in alignment, your heart, nervous system, and mind and body in alignment with these laws, everything just flows. That's weird.
Yeah, right. It's like so weird and not weird at all.
Right. Well, I say weird because it's not commonplace, right? But
it's weird to them, but we see it all the time. You guys are helping people in the way you guys are with heart math and the emotional piece. I'm sure you guys have had some crazy success stories as well. So
I actually had this conversation with a gentleman at the gym not too long ago. We were talking about pain. We were talking about muscular injury and tendon injury and everything like that. And I'm like, well, like, what emotions are you holding on to? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, so we had and he's an intelligent fellow. We're having this conversation, and I will argue him, I don't love to argue, but I'm pretty passionate as well as you are, all are, about what we do. And it's like, no, the body is designed to withstand almost anything. The body is highly resilient. We just don't allow it to be, right? And so he was talking about like ankle injury, shoulder injury. I'm like, Yeah, but what that is distortion from emotional energies distorting the tissue. I like go to yoga. What do they say? You store your issues in your tissues, right? And I'm
Yep.
like, this isn't stuff that's just made up right now, and it's not hoopla. It's
Right.
not, woo-woo stuff. It's like this is proven by physiologists. This is proven by, backed by anatomy, by science, by psychophysiology, by physiology, by neurophysiology, by biophysiology. So it's pretty incredible when you just change simple emotional imbalances and change flexion,
Mhm.
what the body's capable of doing.
Absolutely. So I was going to say, if we come out, I should say, when we come out to meet up with you guys, we almost got to figure out, okay, what do we want to accomplish? Because I think this could be like, we could be out there for a month.
Oh, I know.
To play with and little experiments we could run. And yeah, we'd love to come out and play.
Yeah.
It'd be
Yeah,
cool.
we'll talk off camera. We'll get together
good.
and plan some
Yeah, we
options.
got like 5 minutes left. Want to be respectful of your time. So,
Okay.
Ryan and Shawn, what would you say is the biggest hindrance that you see in your practice with Square One and this physiological help that you're helping people with? What's the main one or two of the main things that you think stand in the way from preventing people's bodies from feeling the best that they can?
You want to go first?
I think it may just be themselves
Okay.
in a way, or just a lack of understanding of what we're actually trying to accomplish.
Right.
So are you asking like almost like what's holding Square One back?
No, I'm just
What do
like
you
the
see from
clients
people?
you see, like
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
a normal, like not generic, but just a regular person
Sure.
comes in and says, "Oh man, my shoulder's bugging me."
I
Where,
think, I think that it's the goodwill of people. They'll try the mainstream. There's a time and a place for traditional therapy when there's tissue damage. There's definitely a role there, but I think sometimes people don't understand that there's a functional, this neurological, this perception piece. So they'll stick with something for so long, weeks and months, and just in the hope that's going to get them better. So I think their goodwill is a lot of times taken advantage of by the mainstream. So I think it's like this whole idea of like we got structure and we got function, but everybody forgets about function. It's all about structure in the modern, rehab type deal. So I think people need to understand like, yep, structure is part of it, but also this function thing. So I think it's just a lack of awareness of the masses that function's a big part of mental, emotional, physical healing.
I agree. That's really good, and people not maybe understanding their options that they have because it
Exactly.
isn't mainstream. It's the same. I mean, we work at the same thing where it's like this just isn't, covered by insurance or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's
So therefore, it's like the boogeyman. It doesn't
Yeah.
really exist.
right? Yeah, because your big insurance companies won't pay for it. It's just
Well, 'cause
off kilter.
well, because it, I mean, I might be going out on a limb here, but it works, and it doesn't keep people sick and stuck, and a client for life, and
It's
You know,
it's not a
if
duct
people are-
tape patch or a pill that
Yeah.
people keep
Right.
having to buy. It's like no, like our end goal is to
not keep you on the
get you
books.
good.
forever.
Yeah, I don't want
We're here in your corner.
Yeah, I don't want your perpetual money. Like I
Right.
want you to feel good.
Yeah.
And think about that too. I was thinking about the insurance thing. I'm not anti it. It is what it is. I mean, I
Right.
don't have an answer to it, but it's like when something is like cash based, it keeps things honest. Like, how do you get people to come back if you're not producing results quickly? So that's what I love is like, it's like the onus is on the clinician who's charging cash.
Yep.
Because if it takes 30 sessions to begin to feel better, who the heck's paying cash for that? Right. So a lot of times, I think the insurance game, it kind of hides the ineptitude, I think, a lot of times of what's out there as your basic, tissue rehab.
Totally agree. Well, when people have skin in the game, we'll just say,
Yeah, right.
when people have skin in the game,
They take it
it
serious.
changes everything, right?
Does.
It brings the onus, like you said that word, the onus into it. It changes perception that, people are more willing to do more with that when they have to pay a little out of their pockets.
Well, when people pay, they pay attention too, and then you've got to be efficient and effective as a practitioner. So, that's awesome. I agree with that. That's great. Where can people find you? Do you have a website? How are you on social media?
Yeah, the place where I'm most active is on Instagram, and that's at Square One System. right? So one's not spelled out. It's just a numerical one, square one system, singular.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ryan's also on Instagram. What's your handle?
At last_resort_restoration.
Okay.
And,
At,
and then we have-
at
I have a
baby
website.
goat.
Baby goat. It's the baby goat. And then we have a website too. It's just squareonesystem.com.
Okay.
We're in a process of getting a new one that should be completed sometime early summer here. So, June, hopefully by July. So the next 4 to 6 weeks, we should have a new revamped website, but very active on Instagram, pretty much post daily, 5-10 times a week kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So if anyone's listening to this and they have
text us those if you don't mind, Ryan and Shawn. Text us those and we'll link them in the show notes. So people can find you, reach out to you.
And Blue Form Media will tag you in some of these clips and reels that you can repost and stuff. So
awesome. We'll do that for sure.
But yeah, if anyone's listening and is feeling the physical pain and you haven't been able to find answers or get results, reach out.
Yeah, here's your answer.
Sounds like they'll do remote calls too over Zoom. So
yeah, we need to combine on that too. But I'll save we'll talk off podcast. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys got to run. Want to thank you for your time. Thanks for they're on a road trip. They're doing business, so they carved out 40-45 minutes to be with us, and we don't know them very well. So pleasure to meet you. I feel like we're brothers already. So brothers in physiology, and so pleasure to meet you. You're both wonderful. Thank you for what you're doing to change the landscape and help people. But again, everyone, thank you for listening to the Healing Works podcast, where we make it our effort to improve your heart and mind through removing these emotions, practicing simple steps to open you up to new possibilities in your life. Thank you.